In this video we want to talk about SWOT and SMART and look at these terms in the context mostly of the HR function within business. So let's start by talking about the SWOT and SMART targets. Well, SWOT analysis has been commonly used within organizations for many years. It allows an organization to assess its internal and external environment. SWOT means strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. So a SWOT analysis is very important for businesses to enable it to assess its performance, to look at its strengths and its weaknesses, its opportunities and its threats, to enable it to get a snapshot picture of how well it's doing and what are its opportunities, what's going right, what's going wrong, and so on. So a SWOT analysis is a very important tool, particularly in the context of strategic management. But it can be applied to HR departments, it could be applied to individuals. Individuals may apply the same type of analysis to themselves to see what are their own individual strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and the threats that confront them. So it can be used in a personal context. Individuals can develop careers and personality by identifying their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, by identifying their SWOT characteristics. Reviewing identity, abilities, personality and applying it to a SWOT framework will allow a potential employee to better select a suitable career. Once a person has undertaken this and undertaken it properly and honestly, just set out 4 headings: strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and then fill out honestly about themselves under those headings. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are the opportunities that they've got, and what are the threats that confront them? Once an individual has filled this out, then they are in a better position to make decisions about their suitable careers, about which way to move, which career to select and what to do in life. So it could be applied on an individual level, or it could be applied, as I said earlier, in the context of strategic management, looking at the overall performance of an organization, its strengths, its weaknesses and so on. So it can be applied at more or less any level. It's used as a performance monitoring tool. Line managers and HR practices use SWOT as a self-assessment technique. The HR department may ask individuals to fill out their own SWOT analysis to see what they consider to be their strengths, their weaknesses and so on. And they could use this over a period of time. They could ask people to fill out a SWOT sheet at a particular moment in time, and perhaps a year later ask them to fill out a SWOT sheet again and look at the differences and look at what's changed, and that could form the basis for some performance monitoring or some appraisal or more constructive help that's channeled towards the individual based on what they see about themselves in one time period vis-a-vis a different time period. Line managers on a regular basis review employee skills audits and SWOT analysis. The review will enable managers to work with employees to help them achieve their goals and potential. It's important that the organization understand individuals and understand the aspirations of the individuals, but also understand their capabilities, understand their aspirations and their abilities to achieve those aspirations. Are they realistic? And what sort of training programs are required, if any? What sort of support is required? So a SWOT analysis is a good starting point in looking at operators and employees and looking at all strata of management, looking at the various personalities and looking at what their strengths are, what their weaknesses, the opportunities they've got, the threats that they confront, looking at all of this and trying to get a picture of what supportive measures can be put in place to enable the people to achieve their aspirations. Appropriate training can be tailored to individual employees' needs, and progress can be monitored through performance appraisals. Of course, this is quite expensive. Having specific training for an individual is an expensive part of perhaps a HR department's budget. It eats into the budget. It is more efficient to have several employees undertake the same training, particularly if outside personnel are required or outside agencies are required to deliver personalized and detailed training in some aspect of the work. So that does not detract from the need for SWOT. A SWOT analysis based on an individual is still important because it does still give a picture of the type of person it is, the strengths of that person, the weaknesses and so on, and it's a good snapshot picture of the individual. It may be filled out by the individual about him or herself. There may be questions about its honesty. Perhaps sometimes people exaggerate their strengths and play down their weaknesses. But having said all of that, it is a snapshot and it's a good starting point.